Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of our Dungeon Boss Face-Off series. Today we are taking a look at two of our fast beasts. We are looking at Lupina versus Torchy. This was a suggestion that came in through the comments, and I finally got around to it now. So, let's take a look, see which one of these guys, technically guy and girl. Lupina is a female. A lot of people don't realize that. But he is a she, so get it right. If it was a guy, it would be Lupino. So, anyways, Torchy versus Lupina, Lupina versus Torchy, however you want to compare it. Let's get into the base stats to start with. These guys here are very, very similar in terms of their speed, obviously their color, they're both beasts, and they're both epic. So we have a lot of things in common here. This makes for a really great textbook example of a face-off series. Stats-wise, a lot of stuff going on here. We're going to start out with the attack. Attack has a base attack of 1946, but keep in mind we also have this pack leaders in here as well. The pack leader is going to be a 25% base. It's 28% for me. With a 25% increase, this actually brings her attack up to a little over 2,500. We cannot overlook that because this is not based on a rune. It is not based on epics. This is happening regardless. So this is always going to be on there. So that base attack is not really 1946. It is going to bump up to 2500. Compare that to Torchy. And we got base attack of 2062. No individual little traits that are going to increase that. So in terms of advantage here, it's a 25% buff for Lupina. Lupina is 25% better than Torchy in terms of attack. Serious advantage Torchy there. Or sorry, Lupina. Defense. It's no surprise that Torchy has very low defense. Base is 1374 with an increase of 30% due to the epic. And then go back to Lupina. Defense for her is 1406. It says 20% for the epic. Keep in mind my Lupina is not maxed out. That is going to also be a 30% buff as well. So being that they both get 30% due to the epic to the defense, Lupina's is higher at 1400, which means that, again, advantage Lupina. Skill-wise, base skill of 1628. She's going to get 20% from her epic. And then Torchy is very, very similar. Base skill of 1565. It is lower than what Lupina's was. And Torchy does not have extra based on the epic. It is based off of the pack scout, the pack tactics type deal when you combine the beasts together. So this here is going to be a given at every single time. Doesn't matter what the epic is. You don't have to level it up. So this could get as high as, mine's 28 right now, but it will be a defaulted to 25%. But given this here, this is going to bump her attack up quite a bit. It is going to take it past what Lupina's is. I don't know if it'll take it past what Lupina's is with a max epic, but we're going to give the advantage to Torchy in this one here. Max health, this is kind of a running joke because I think Torchy has the lowest single base health in the game. If you've ever tried to carry Torchy through a tough PvP encounter or even through a dungeon, he does not last very long. Gets a 20% boost with the epic. 20% of 3,000 is not very much. It's only 600. So 3,600 is pretty weak sauce there. Compare that to Lupina. Lupina's no health nut either. Max health base 4,800. Certainly much better than what Torchy is. And Lupina is also going to get 20% for her epic as well. So comparing those two, Lupina is better every single way because of she has a higher base and they have the same epic value. So considerably better. In terms of the core 4 stats, as I call them, Lupina is hands down better in 3 of the 4. And then when we compare the pack leader type situation versus the epic when we talk about skill, it's possible Lupina might outpace Torchy there as well. On to the actual abilities then, see who actually puts out more damage. Lupina's first skill or first ability does not do any damage. We can't really count that in terms of calculations. Versus Torchy. Wrong direction, sorry about that. Torchy's first ability. I've never really noticed if Torchy's first ability does more than one hit. It always seems like it hits 2 or 3 times, but I do think it really only does one actual damage. It does 2600, which is more than his base attack. It is essentially about 1.25 times his base attack, which anytime you get an ability that does more or a multiplier of your base attack, that's certainly a good thing. His second and third skill are actually the same damage amount, 1700. This amounts to about 80% of his total attack stat. So would like to see that a little bit higher, but one of the real selling points to Torchy is this energy consumption. Torchy is tied with Valken for the single best energy usage in the game. Very, very, very good with energy. Lupina's last 2 abilities, which will be her damaging ones. She's got 2 of them here. She's going to do Fiery Fangs, which is a single attack, 1600. This is roughly 80% of her base attack, similar to what Torchy's do in terms of multiplier. So comparing those values, they're essentially the same. Burning Rampage does 3 total attacks, 1362 each. That 1360 is roughly 70% of her base attack. It's going to do, ultimately, when we add it up, about 2 times her base attack. In terms of total damage output, if we add all these up, Lupina is going to do about 56 or 5700 total damage. We add up Torchy's. Torchy is going to do about 6000 damage. So in terms of damage output, Torchy technically does put out more damage, despite the fact that the attack is a little bit different, a little bit lower. But in terms of who's better, I think we have a couple of extra factors to consider here. When we look at the epics, let's look at the epic triggers for starters here. Lupina has a really great epic in terms of all of the beasts on the team are going to attack a random enemy. That's going to happen. Torchy's epic, as you may know, I'll go out here anyways, is a burn attack. Chance to burn all the enemies for 1.3 times the damage, which is good. So if you're thinking that the damage output that Torchy does offsets all of the things that Lupina does, I think you might be a little bit misguided there. I did consider that for a moment, that because Torchy does put out more damage, that would make him better, but those core stats in terms of Lupina are just hands down way better than Torchy across the board. And in terms of total damage output, we did say that Torchy was 6,000, Lupina was about 5,700. That's largely a negligible difference in my opinion, but if we consider these for, say, even if we don't consider a PvP defense, if we consider a dungeon, for example, we do have one other thing to consider here, which is what I used as the tiebreaker, which is this here. Essentially, it's going to, for all intents and purposes, double the damage. So if we're going to double Lupina's damage in terms of how we actually go about using that, we could say that Lupina's damage is somewhere between 10 and 12,000, which is going to give her the nod. So in my opinion, which of these two is better? I am definitely going to say Lupina is the better of the two. Torchy really is only around because of his silence mechanic. If Torchy did not silence, he would not be used at all. In terms of PvP defense, I see Lupina out there all the time. I don't think I've seen Torchy in any version of PvP, attack or defense, for many, 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 many months. So in this case here, I'm going to say with pretty much certainty, if you to feel free to correct me and leave a reason why. But in this case here, Torchy is hands down Lupina is better than Torchy in almost every single way. So that is going to wrap up this episode. If you have further suggestions, please leave those in the comments. I will get to them as soon as I can. Otherwise, as always, thanks for watching, and we will see you again next time. Thank you so much for watching this video and supporting my channel. If you like this video, please show your continued support by hitting that like button, and be sure to check out both my YouTube channels for new content all the time. And always remember, peace is a lie, there's only passion. We'll see you next time.